evening and welcome to another edition of HGP Sport. For today, I'm Jadon Samuels. Thanks for joining us. The Ministry of Social Cohesion with responsibility for sports is seeking to use circle tennis to unite genders and regions, but the progress of this vision is not without obstacles. Samuel Gills tells of the struggle.
The game of circle tennis, though indigenous to Guyana, has its difficulties like many other sporting disciplines, some of which are poor access to sporting facilities, insufficient knowledge of the sport, and shortage of clubs to train interested persons. This is according to Minister with responsibility for sport, Dr. George Norton, who held a consultation recently with local table tennis teams. As the sports minister touted the possibility of the establishment of a circle tennis club, Andrew Jeffrey of Region 2 spoke of strides his community are already making, which can be built on.
It's 7 persons from in the hinterland area. It's on our committee.
Yes.
Because we got about 25 persons, right? And on the committee, most of them that are on the committee, they're teachers. So they're at different schools in the community. So if we can get it into the schools, we will get more support and more people learning the game and wanting to play the game.
The minister pledged to do his part to ensure that the revitalization of circle tennis is realized in Guyana and to promote it on an international stage. For HGP Sport, I am Samuel Gillis.
Guyana is just a few months away from implementing its first national sport policy, according to the Assistant Director of Sport, Melissa DOW-RICHARDSON. The details in this report.
Stage, the policy and its guidance is being implemented because the policy builds on laws, rules and regulations that exist in our country. So what we're doing is operationalizing it applicable to sports specific. The draft has been circulated. There's been a good feedback from the media, from sports fraternities, from communities. There has been feedback from Cabinet, which requires a little bit of revision. And currently, UNESCO has overseen a consultancy that will be doing a final revision of the document.
That was Assistant Director of Sport, Melissa DOW-RICHARDSON, explaining to HGP Sport the status of the National Sports Policy for Guyana. Stated that the consultants are scheduled to meet with the subject minister in July, following which the document will be finalized. However, elements of the policy is already being implemented. When questioned on the incentives that athletes can look forward to with this sports policy in place, this is what the Assistant Director of Sport had to say.
National incentive, sports incentive scheme is a part of the policy. There is a recommendation in there in draft, and I would want to say that it is expected that we continue to incentivize our athletes at the level of the National Sports Awards. But after the consultancy review by UNESCO in November, in July, we would have a more definite word on what the incentives would be.
The Assistant Director also noted that the sports policy will include schools and highlighted another key aspect.
Key points we want to make is that sports exists in school from nursery to tertiary in Guyana, just at different levels. There's a nursery program, there's the primary and secondary program, the Unit of Allied Arts does a lot of good work in sports in school. There's a program at CPCE that needs to be built. What we need to do is bridge the gap between CPCE and secondary sports in school and tertiary. So there would be a call for university programs for sports so that people can continue and even finish their sports and physical education here in Guyana. So those specific guidelines on the education system, sports in school, are in the policy, and that collaborative mechanism is the thrust that we're operationalizing right now.
And in terms of scholarship programs enshrined in the policy, Ms. DOW-RICHARDSON acknowledged that there have been calls for such, but noted that the government has been awarding sports scholarships on a regular basis in the past 3 to 2 years. She, however, noted that such funding will be a part of the incentive scheme for the sports policy. For HGP Sport, I am Stanford Howard.
Football action in Linden. ExxonMobil sponsored inaugural New Era Schools Futsal Championship kicks off this Friday in the mining town at the Mackenzie Sports Club basketball court and will conclude on July 13. The details in this report. In football news, this championship makes way for 7 schools to do battle in a tournament sanctioned by the Ministry of Education and will see competition in 4 games within the 2 weeks affair. The action includes Christianburg, Wismar, New Silver City and Wisberg Secondary Schools, as well as Mackenzie and Linden Foundation High Schools, the Linden Technical Institute, and MC's Educational Institute. Apart from fierce competition among the schools, the championship will, for a period of 2 days, also be educating the young ballers on basic life skills undertaken by the Guyana Football Federation. The winner will cart off $200,000, second place finisher $150,000, while the team finishing third pockets $100,000. The fourth place finishers will also be on the receiving end, pocketing $50,000. The cash prizes will be utilized by the respective schools towards very lucrative projects. Jadon Samuels, HGP Sport. Let's turn our attention to some cricket news. Guyana's national under-17 team on Thursday departed Guyana for the West Indies Future Stars Under-17 Championship in Trinidad. The first of 5 rounds starts July 6, where Guyana competes against Trinidad and Tobago Under-17 in Balmain, Couva, as they look to start on a positive note. The team will return home on July 14. The Under-17 squad, led by manager-assistant coach Mr. Nazir Mohammed and coach Oren Bailey, is as follows. Machu Nandu, Sarwan Chitnarayan, Marvan Prashad, Mavendra Dindyal, Niran Bisu, Zinul Ramsamy, Andre C. Prasad, Sheldon Charles, Aziz Christiani, Chandar Paul Ramraj, Jadesh Dol Taran, Chitnaram Balgobin, Avinash Rajkumar, and Aji Gena. Still in cricket news, West Indies' disappointing run at the World Cup comes to an end after slipping past Afghanistan, winning 2 matches, but squandering the rest. The Caribbean side will look to the India Tour of the Caribbean starting this August. Here is that story. In cricket news, all the chatter about a Windies team that can upset any team participating at this year's World Cup boiled down to nothing, much to the disappointment of the millions of avid cricket fans. Their next shot will be to play for pride when the Indians come here next month. The West Indies play their final World Cup game against Afghanistan, finishing in a way they would have preferred to in previous games. Afghanistan, chasing down 311 for victory set by West Indies, did try but only reached 288 bowled out, falling short by 23 runs. Among the wickets for the men in maroon, Carlos Brathwaite 4 for 63 and Kemar Roach 3 for 37. Earlier on, Evan Lewis 58-77 from Shai Hope, another 58 from Nicholas Puran, and 45 from Jason Holder were the highlights in West Indies' 311 from their 50 overs. Now the two sides will pack their bags and ready up for another possible World Cup. Jadon Samuels, HGP Sport. Let's turn our attention to some tennis news. 23-time Grand Slam winner survives the Serena Williams second round scare at Wimbledon on Thursday as SLOANE Steven eased her way into the third round. Here are the details.
Williams, who last won Wimbledon in 2016, will face German 18 seed Julian Gerge in the third round. She's looking to equal Australian Margaret Court's all-time record of 24 Grand Slam single titles, but has struggled with a knee injury this year. 7-time Wimbledon champion Serena Williams recovered from being a set-down to beat teenager qualifier Kanji Won and reached the third round. Williams was surprised by 18-year-old world number 133 from Slovenia, who twice broke serve to win the first set. The 11th seed 37 responded to take control in the second and eventually closed out the decider for a 2-6, 6-2, 6-4 victory in 1 hour and 36 minutes. While her American counterpart SLOANE Stevens dispatched Wang Fang in the straight set, the number 9 seed came through 6-0, 6-2. And she's through to the third round, which is in marked contrast to last year, where she was dumped out in the first round. For HGP Sport, I am Stanford Howard.
And finally in sport this evening, some boxing news. The 2019 Andrew Sixhead Lewis National Novice Boxing Tournament starts Friday evening at the National Gymnasium. Boxing lovers are asked to come out and support as 7 of the country's top clubs tries to dethrone last year's winners the Guyana Defense Force. Admission to the venue is $500. That concludes our cast for this evening. Do remember, yes to life, yes to sport, and no to drugs. Good night.